Hey guys, just Michael here. In this tutorial we're going to be covering how I take a Figma design and put it into Bricks Builder. So for demo purposes, I've kind of made a bit of a quick locations. So in theory, you could turn this into services, or it could be anything realistically on your website. So what I usually do is I come into Figma, I'll create my design first, I'll get a bit of an idea of what I want to do, and then I'll put it together. Not the margins usually aren't perfect, or the padding, because I like to use this thereabouts, but it gives me a bit of an understanding, and that way when I go into design it in bricks, it's a lot easier for me. So I'm going to be taking this design and I'm going to be putting it into bricks. It's nice and simple and it's effective. Okay, so we'll just jump over to bricks here. So as you can see, I've already gone in, I've created the page, and I've come into settings, I've gone to theme style, I've created a style, set the conditions as it's a entire site, and then I've come into general and I've added my background color. As I've already styled it in Figma, it's a lot easier for me to just grab colors, bring them across, and know what I'm doing. Now, this web page was built in 1440 and it's been pushed back into 1280. So what we'll do first is we'll just come down and create our first container. So we want our container to be in the center axis, and we're probably just going to leave it the way it is. We'll leave this container. So we're going to set this container's style to 1440. And we're going to add some margins and padding here. So I'm going to put 20 padding on the side. That's my go-to. 100 on the top, 100 on the bottom. So now when it resizes, it's always going to have that padding on the contents, so it'll look a lot better in different devices. First thing I'll do is I'll come up here to the elements. I'm going to drop in a heading, another heading, and a text box. Then we've got four cards, so I'm going to drop in a container. So what I'll do first is I'll come back to the original container here. I'm just going to give it a label for, say, we'll call it like a locations. We're going to call this one here cards, just so we know what we're doing. And I'm going to come over to content on the original container, and I'm probably just going to center axis everything, so it's all in the center. Now I want to come over to my first one. I'm just going to copy the text from the other screen, jump in here, paste it in, and I'm going to come over to the style tab. Under the style tab, because I've already put the text in, we'll go to typo. I'm going to set the font color to white, as I already know it's white. Then I'm using a font size of 14. We're going to center it just for purposes, even though it doesn't actually, you don't really need to do that at all. It's capitalized. We're going to make the font family Poppins, as it's one of my favorites. And the weight of the font's probably around 400, maybe 500. We'll go with 500. Just to give it a bit more weight. Then we'll set the spacing to probably 1. And we need to make this uppercase, sorry. So that's uppercase. And I'm actually probably going to put it back to 400. So it looks a little bit better. We're going to jump over to the heading. It's the same again. Once you click on the heading, it should automatically be in the same tab. Just going to push this over to white. We're going to uppercase it. And we're probably going to set this one to about, we'll say 45. Just copy my text from the other screen. Come over to content, copy and paste it in. We'll go back to the style tab. I'll probably set this to header 2, depending. Usually I'll let the SEO guys go through and set what they want to do. And then I'll come into here and I'll change to Poppins. Oops. And the font family weight for this is probably going to be about, 600 looks good. And I want a bit of letter spacing again, so I want to set that to 1. And we're not going to worry about the line height. We could worry about it if we wanted to add more space, but at the moment we're just getting everything prepped. So we'll come over to the text again. We're going to set this to white. We're going to make this 16. Actually, we're going to pull this back a little bit. Going to make it, we have to pull the saturation out. Then we'll pull it back a bit just to kind of break it up a little bit. So we've got our text now. Now we're going to come down to our, I'll just copy and paste the other text in. I'm just going to, when copying and pasting, always keep in mind, especially if it's coming from Word document, paste as plain text. So that way it doesn't bring all the copy across. So now I'm just going to click on this text again. I'm going to go over style. I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to give it a fixed width of probably about 600. And want to center align the axis, even though it's already center aligned. We won't have to worry about that. I want the text to be centered. So you don't really need to do it in here. It's probably best if you've done it under the style tab, sorry. So if you come into the style tab and we go down to typo, let me fix that music up. If we come over to the typo, and while we're styling it, we're going to set this to center, so it kind of aligns it better. And that should be, we're going to change this to Poppins. I'm going to set the weight to about 300, maybe 400. Yeah, 400, and it's a little bit more to it. I'm going to set the line height to, because I'm going to go with 26 px on this. Actually, I might go 30. See what 36? No, 26 looks good. We'll just go with 26. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to come back over to the header here. I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to put a bottom margin because I want some room between it. So I'm probably going to put about 25 here. Actually, we'll bring that down to 15. And on here, we're probably going to set about, on the actual text block, we're probably going to set this to about 50. And I'm not going to worry about them. Kind of suits it in the style. Actually, this here I might actually pull back and wait. So we'll just go back into here. We'll set this to 300 just to pull a little bit of weight out of it. So it kind of breaks it up a little bit. And I might increase the size of this up to about, say, 55. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so now we're going to start on our cards here. So what we're going to do is, once you click on the container for cards, we're going to go to content, and you're going to set the direction to horizontal because we want that to flow left to right. So we're not going to worry about anything in here at the moment. We're going to click on the plus sign here, and we're going to drop some containers in. So we're going to drop 4 containers in. Now, I like to come over and label everything so I know where I'm working, especially when your design gets big. So this is going to be location 1, location 2, location 3, and location 4. So in theory, you could turn these cards into service cards. So you could say, okay, this is service 1, 2, 3, 4. But for demo purposes, we're doing locations today. So now I've created the 4 cards. Now, I kind of want them to be spaced, but at the moment, what we'll do is we'll get the imagery in and the text in, and then we'll work on the spacing. So we might do a little bit jumping around here. So I'm just going to show you what I do in Figma. I jump over to Figma because I've already designed the cards here and I know what I want. If you were to come into the card here and go, okay, you click on that and export the actual design, it'll export the text. So you kind of have to, I'm just going to try something here. So yeah, we can't do that. Usually we just hide these so they're not visible. Usually you'd put a picture in so you can export it, but I was just doing things my way. So we'll come over to here, go down to export. This is location 1. As you can see, I exported a version before and it's got the text on it. So we're just going to save that. Yes, we're going to replace over the top. I'm just going to keep on exporting these. Location 2. Actually, we don't want that as a PNG. We want it as a JPEG. Go to export, JPEG. Export. And JPEG. So now I have all my locations exported. I can pretty much come back in here and just put these on. These are just random text. It's just so I know what I'm looking at. And Figma's really easy. I never watched a single video on tutorial or anything on YouTube. I literally just downloaded it, jumped in here and had a look at the tools and went, okay, this is simple. And then once you learn the basic fundamentals, you'll breeze through Figma really quickly. Okay, so what we're going to do is our location 1, we're going to come over to style. We're going to come down to background. And we're probably just going to drop in the background image. So I'm just going to grab all these. And they've already got the fade at the bottom, which is pretty helpful. So I'm just going to go insert. I'm just going to drag that across my other screen so I can look at it. So at the moment, we know it's 300 by 400. We want that to be top center, no repeat, and we want it to be contain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test something here quickly. Back up in layout, because you can set your width of your cards. So I know the pictures are pretty much, let me just double check these. It should be 300 by 400. So the width should be 300 and the height should be 400. Yeah, so there we go, 300 by 400. So if I come back over to the background, just for safe purposes, I'll probably set this to bottom center, so it's aligned at the bottom center. And I'm just going to set that to cover so it'll always fit, because once we add the margins in for each container, it should shrink the image a little bit. Okay, so now we've got our background in on our card 1. I'm going to jump over to card 2. I'm going to do the exact same. Usually what you could do to save time is you could duplicate the first one. So let's just do that. Let's get rid of these. So we're going to just clone this. We're going to clone it again. So if we jump into location 2, just quickly relabel those. Yeah, we'll jump into this. I'm going to come down and I'm going to change this image here. Just insert each one. I'm just going to jump through these really quickly because we're just inserting images. So we'll get rid of that. Okay, so we've got our cards in place. Now, I'm probably going to go with probably about 12.5 padding. Kind of annoying, so normally the easiest way to do it would be to jump over to here and go, okay, I want the column gap to be 20. But because we've got the images pre-sized, it kind of makes it a little bit difficult. We might actually go in images here and go, okay, we don't want the layout to be a fixed width. Actually, we're going to need to, god damn it. Here, I'm just going to test something. And then we'll just set the height to 400. Yeah, we'll go this route. Instead of setting the width to 300, this way when it gets more responsive, I didn't think about that. It's going to fold in properly. So we've kind of got our boxes in here now. So let's just have a quick preview of that. Okay, cool. Okay, so the next step is we need to get the text into each box. So we'll click on location 1, come up to the elements, and we'll go, okay, we need text, and we'll probably need a button. But I'm going to try something a little bit different here. I might actually, just going to double check. Yep, I'm going to turn the second text into a hyperlink. I'm going to use a little bit of CSS to style up the button, make it look a little bit cooler. Or you could just use your basic button. It's up to you. I just need to find where I've got my CSS saved for this. Yeah, it looks like, oh, here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we want the alignment of this container to be the end, I think it is. Nope. We want it to be vertical, so it's going down. Container alignment, everything should be aligning to the bottom. Am I on the right one? Yep. And here we are, sorry. Align the axis, and then we want to put everything in the center. So we want it to be end and center on the axis. And then we're probably going to come over to the style tab, and we're going to jump into here, and we're going to probably go, okay, we want 20 on the 20, 20, and then we want 20 again. So that's just, you probably don't need to go anything on the sides. Probably just go 10. But we want 20 at the bottom here. I'm going to jump over to the first text. It's going to be like a visit location. So we'll click on this one here, and we're going to call it visit. And we're going to call this locate. We'll just leave it as heading, sorry. So I'm just going to copy my text across, as I didn't really put much thought into what type of text it's going to be. So just Laramisman. We're going to change the colors again. Take the saturation out, turn it to white, and we're going to capitalize it. Probably going to set it to about 18, and we're just going to make, we'll give it a spacing of 1, and we're going to make it Poppins again. You could come up with a cool font. Let's go Poppins. I have no idea what this font here is. Hey, that's horrible. I'm just going to set that to Poppins, and I'm probably going to set the weight to 500. I might actually put this to 2. I might do the same up here as well, just to give it a bit more. Ooh, that looks pretty good. I might actually put that to 15. Let's go 10. I actually like the look of that. Yeah, it breaks it up. It makes it feel a little bit more styled up. Okay, so we've got these set to 2. And we're just going to jump down to our button text. We're going to set that to probably the same color as this here. So I'm just going to grab that color. Usually you would save your colors and create a color palette, but I'm just going to be jumping through and not worrying about that. We're going to set this to 14. We want this to be Poppins again. We want the weight to be 300. And I'm probably going to just leave this as like lowercase. And I'm going to say visit location. And then I'm going to come back over to the layout. I'm going to literally just put some margins on the top and bottom. So I'm going to put 10 and 10. Just actually, no, we won't worry about the bottom because we've already got the 20 on the bottom. So we'll just punch it down 10 below. Now we can go over and we just copy, just paste this in, or paste this one in too. So I should come through and just copy, paste, paste, and then get this one here, copy, paste, and then paste. So we've put those in. We can come back over to here. We know the containers. Usually you would do the first container first, then you would clone it all the way across and then change your image and wording. That way you've got consistency. So we're just going to set that to vertical, even though it's done by default. We want that at the end, and we're going to put that to the center. So we're just going to go through and fix that up on each one. Oops. Nope. And then we just got to jump into the style tab here. Actually, I'm going to remove the padding off this one here. I don't think it needs it. So we're just going to leave it at 10 on the sides. Just so as it resizes, got that safety margin there. Okay. No, it does need to come up, sadly. So we're just going to go back in here, and I'm just going to set that to 20 like I had it. It just looks a little bit better on the text side of things here. Okay, so we've kind of popped those up a little bit now. We've got kind of good margins. Now, the next step I would take is I'd go, okay, how do I want to style this? Do I want to add some background shapes or anything like that? Now, in the Figma version here, I just quickly just put some lines in the background. So it's actually nothing fancy. It's just a couple of lines, bang, bang, bang. You can use shapes or whatever you want. Figma's got some cool blobbing tools. So I'd usually come in and I'd go, okay, let's add some shapes to the background, kind of give it a bit of style, break it up a little bit. So it's completely up to you how you want to go about that. So now what I'm going to do before I finish this up, we're going to talk about the button here. How do we make the button look different? How do we give it some kind of life? So just close layout. We're going to come down to CSS here on the first visit button. And I'm going to give it a class of, we're going to call it mksbtn. We're going to call it mksbtn. And usually you'd put your CSS all in one spot, but we're just going to do a little bit of a shortcut here. So I'm just, give me a second to grab some CSS out of my screen on how I want to go about this. Yeah, let's go with that one. I'm going to go with so I'm just going to rewrite this. So we're going to change that to that. Run over this here, over this here. And now it should have a button line below it. It's too big. We're going to set that to 1. Okay, cool. So if we now save that and we'll just go into here, you'll notice how it's got this kind of like line underneath. We might need to fix up this text as it's not visually too good. So the text is a little bit hard to read in my eyes. It might be too much. Maybe we've got to set it to white. Maybe it's too... It's just not being crystal clear. It's not sharp, if that makes sense. And it could be because of the sizing. Maybe we'll go down to 12. No, we'll go up to 14. 14 is usually our safe zone. Well, anyway, so I'm going to give you a link in the... Oops, let's bring that in. So basically, there's a place that I go to that I can get tons and tons of different button CSS so I can make cool buttons. So we're just going to come across and we're just going to go BTN, BTN, BTN. It's just going to add the mksbtn into each button. So now we know it's a button. This here, you could change the color of it if you wanted to. Bring it up. I'm pretty sure we've got it set to white. Just make sure. Yep. Okay, so that's pretty much a simple way of making a bit of a slider. You've got a bit of styling. Now, you could potentially, I'm pretty sure if you put a 5 padding at the bottom here, it'll push the button down and it'll put the line further down, which probably looks better. But if you're going to do that, come back into the actual card and we're going to have to change these to 15. So I might actually go through and change these all to 15. And then we're going to come over to the button. So we'll go to button and we're just going to put 5 padding on the bottom of all of them. Yep. Okay, so but if you do decide that you're going to use shapes in the background and you want to get them out there, you can, on your original container that's holding everything, you can set paddings. So set 100 above. So if you wanted to go, hey, 100 above, you can get rid of the margins. So you've got this room in here for the image. Because margins, it won't push it outside, it will keep it contained, whereas padding will, you can work inside that area. So we're just going to get rid of that part. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to close that up. Cool. Close this card 1 up. Now we're going to jump into kind of like the responsive side of things here to give it a bit of style. I kind of want to turn these to red. I think red would look really good actually. Let's have a look. Yeah, I do like that. I think it's good. So now that we've got this color here, what I'll do is I'll go, okay, so the line underneath, I want it to change color. So you can probably, you'd change it over here, but so it's currentColor. I'm pretty sure you, why isn't it letting me select the where I wanted to select? Jesus Christ, that's kind of annoying. I'm not going to worry about it because it's kind of pissing me off now. But you can change this here and you push the hashtag and you'll be able to change the color of your text. Just, you'll be able to muck around with it and figure out what you want to do in terms of the text color. So I'm just going to go through, I'm just going to go right click, and we're going to copy style and we're going to paste style here. And with this here, I'm going to actually make this red as well. So I already had it in the hash. It kind of breaks it up. I really do like these colors, the kind of like the dark blue color with the red, kind of like the pale red over the top with the whites and grays. It kind of brings out the picture. It pops your content a little bit better. So, okay. Now we're going to jump over to the mobile version. We'll start with the tablet and we'll work our way down. So if we jump to the tablet, you'll notice it's got the 20%. Nothing really needs to be done at all. I'm happy with all the sizing on here. I'd probably come down to this one here now and I'll go, okay, I'm not really happy with these containers. So we'll jump over here. I just need to test a few things. I might just set that to, no, we're not going to do that. This one here, we're going to set to, so I'd click on location 1, come over to the style, come to layout. We're going to put 50 in here, and then I'm going to go percent. So now it's got 50%. And we'll jump into this one. We're going to go 50. We're just going to go through and put them all to 50. And I'm probably going to reduce this to 45, actually. Yeah, 45. Then percent, we're going to go 45. And we'll just change these ones here. 45 and 45. Now, we need to center align this. I wonder if we should just go 48. What's 48 like? Yeah, 48 isn't too bad. I actually like that one a little bit more. Now, we're going to have to chuck a margin in on the bottom of these because we need the room. I'm guessing about 20. It's really bad. You shouldn't do what I just done. You should properly know exactly how much room you got between each one. So 48, and yeah, they should all be even. I'm just using my bad habit of thereabouts. Now, I kind of want everything, so I'm going to click on the card here. I'm going to go over to content, and I kind of want everything to space between. There we go, space between, it's good. Doesn't look too bad with the 20 being lower because you've kind of got like some of the room here anyway, so you can't really tell. And I'm pretty happy with the text size up the top here still. Everything seems to be fine. We've still got the padding on the side here. Jump over to mobile. Now on mobile, I'm literally going to put these to 100% because they're not going to look good. Because realistically, I'll set this to about 400. So that'll give you kind of like what the average mobile is. Kind of like a middle ground in a sense. So I'm going to set that to 100. Set that to 100. This is on the location card. 100 again, and we're going to set that one to 100. Now, because we've got 20 on these ones here below, actually, I think it's 20. Let's double check. Yep. So we're going to come down to these ones, and we're just going to add in that pseudo 20 up. Actually, let's just get rid of this here. We're just going to go back to here, and we're actually going to set it here. Because you've got to keep consistency within your margins. You don't want to have some randomness. So now we jump over. We've got our cards. We're going to set this to 400 because I think 477 is your max. You still got your 20 on the sides. Your 20 below the cards. Now, I'm not happy with the way the text has gone here. So we might jump back over to desktop. I'm going to click on this very top text. I'm going to come down to typo. I'm going to center it. I'm going to center this one as well. And I'm going to center this. Okay, it's already done. Cool. And then we're going to go back down to mobile. I'm going to set this to 400 again. And I'm probably going to reduce the size of this text here. It's 55 at the moment, down to 45. And I'm going to reduce the distance on this one probably down to about 5 because we want to get it onto one line. So we want to make that 2. No, we're going to set that to 5. And I don't want it to be as predominant. So I'm just going to put it down to 12. Actually, I might just leave that as 50, to be honest. It's plenty of room there. So you're going to have to muck around with your text sizes, but you need to keep consistency. So if you're coming down to your mobile version, you need to go, okay, my main headers are all going to be 50px. So you've got to keep that throughout the website. My text is always going to be 16px. I'm never going to change that. And there's going to be margins between important blocks of 50 and your minimum, well, your little ones are going to be 20. So it's got a bit of consistency. So now if we jump back over to the desktop, click save, and we go into preview mode, this is how she'll look. So she looks nice and clean. You've got these cool little buttons. Hover. You could put some tilts on this, you know, put some extra CSS so when they scroll over it, it changes color. So let's have a look at that actually. So if we go to location 1 here and we go to, let's have a look at some hover styles. We go to maybe, where is it, gradient overlay. We just want to put an overlay. We're just going to add a single color. Now, I'm going to make that probably, actually, I'm just going to steal the background color here. So give me a second, I'll just get out of my Figma file. I think that's my color. Yeah, cool. Sorry about that. We're just going to change this to that. So as you can see, it's pretty, I'll bring this down to about, say, 30. Let's go 30 and see what it's like. That way there's a little, when they, I suppose when they go over it, you kind of see a bit of a transition on the cards. So we're just going to go through and change all these cards with the hover, with overlay, and just give it the oh crap, I forgot to put these down to 30, so we'll just put that to 30. This one's the same. Make sure you set that to 30, guys. This is why it's important to build your first card and then kind of like use it. So if you build it in Figma first, it will give you a proper understanding of what you want to do. Kind of do like your hover styles and stuff like that as well, just to break it down. That way you're not wasting time. Because I've wasted a fair bit of time now by just kind of creating parts that I didn't need to. Anyways, we'll save that again. Just go and preview, have a look. Okay, so now we've got kind of a hover effect on the image. It's kept it in line with the coloring of the page. That button looks cool. Yeah, so then you could just go around mucking around with it. You could probably add some sort of like lines along the background. I haven't got any on hand at the moment, even though I've got Photoshop opened. I could make some, but I can't be bothered. But yeah, so hopefully that gives you a bit of an understanding on how you can make cards, giving it a bit of a style. And necessarily you could go, you change this to say, hey, our services. You could have a catch line here. You change that to say the business name or what it is. Maybe it's a service industry in car cleaning. So you put, say, hey, #1 car cleaner and blah, blah, blah. You talk about what they do, minor brief. And you come down here and then you've got your, okay, this could be service 1. It could be like interior, you know, and so on. You get the drift of it. So I'm just going to put this back to our locations. Don't know why I didn't do that from the start. And now it looks a little bit out of place with the top heading text here. So I might actually bring that one back. I don't understand where my text styling has gone. Okay, I'm a little bit confused, but we're just going to leave it there. Rightio. Oh, I'm in hover styles. Jesus Christ. Okay, just be careful that you come out of hover styles because I was a little bit confused and then I just remembered, hey, I'm in hover. So if anything, I'd probably bring this back to about, no, let's put it at 8. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, cool. I'm going to wrap the tutorial up here. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'll try and provide information in the link and I might make this shareable. And have a great day.